we're holding in the part of Derech Hashem that he begins to explain the Hashgacha, the supervision of Kabbalistic, the divine providence. This is the area that most people misunderstand or don't know anything about. This is the area that many people have many questions and complaints. The first halak was much more to do with the emunah itself. The actual faith, which most of us don't have a problem with. We understand it's obvious, it's clear, and it's logical that God created the world. But as I explained in the past, there was a philosophy who believed that even though God created the world, He doesn't continue to supervise alamina enoshi, on the race, or even on anything else in the world. In other words, He's not doing anything about it, and that is why it appears to be a balagan. There appears to be a confusion. There appears to be no dins and no dayan, no justice system. The Buddhist people appear to get away with it, and the righteous suffer. So this is where he begins to explain a little bit why things happen the way. Very briefly, he doesn't give a whole lecture, but the brief explanations say a lot. That there is a heshbon, that there is a reason for everything that happens in this world. But before he begins to explain that there is a reason for everything, which is the actual hashgacha on everything, he begins to explain in this chapter that everything in the world that was created, the actual creations, have a purpose. Right? Everything that was created, from the smallest worm to the biggest dinosaur that once existed, was created for a purpose. Otherwise, the Kabbalistic would not create it. Or what did He create it for? So the fact that it was created, it had a reason. And he briefly explains that what happened to them, some of them who are now extinct. Extinction, by the way, could have come about by several explanations, but he simply says that anything that has become extinct, in different words, is only an indicator that there's no need for it anymore. At one time, there was a need for it, like the famous animal called the tahash, that was multicolored fur, multicolored skin, but they used it for the mishkan. That's all that they needed it for then. Right now, you won't find it. It's around. It's around, yeah. Just we're not 100% sure which one it is, and that's from the one that you make the dye for the deceased, for the chelet. Exactly. That's around. That's okay. It's just a matter of some say that they know which one it is. Ashamir. Okay. Yes, dvarim shenignezu, shenigsteru. There are some things that are hidden from us. There are certain animals that are incredible. There's an animal called Yadua. Yadua. The way it is, it looks similar to a human being, and it has a hut, a hevel, sticking out from its umbilical cord attached to the ground. And it's a very fearful animal, and the only way to catch it was to detach it from its umbilical cord. This animal, a bone from this, if you took a bone from this animal, those who are involved in witchcraft would use it to be able to communicate with it. That's what the Torah says, Yid'oni. If you ever see the Torah, that's a sur, Yid'oni, it comes from this animal, the bone that's used from this animal.
It looks like a human being.
It looks a little bit like a human being. It's a very ferocious animal, and it can't move too far because it's attached to the ground. It's like part of the ground. And then there's something that people think is a myth, but it exists according to Rashi. That's the mermaid. Mermaid is what the half looks like a woman, right? And half looks like a fish. It still exists. In the 1800s, there were some fishermen who swear they saw one. Anyway, the oceans are very big. They're always discovering things in the Amazon and all sorts of places in the world. And there are things that, that have yet to be discovered. That once upon a time people were aware of. Right, exactly. Like the unicorn and all these things.
And like the Loch Ness Monster also.
There could be something there. Definitely. It's possible.
I would say.
Yeah, it's possible.
And Bigfoot also.
Right. Well, yes, very possible. Possible. Anyway, so if they don't exist, it means that there's no really need for now. But at the time that they were created, there was a need, and that is why they were created. And he goes on to explain that in the same way that everything in the world has a koach elyon that supervises them, that controls them, whether it's a malach or a sar, however you want to call it, a minister, an angel, it's a koach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's the ultimate koach, he has to be mashgiach on everything, on the sarim, on the good and bad, on everything. In other words, he's the ultimate mashgiach. Even though if you don't see it that way, that's a fact that you can begin to understand that there is an hashgacha, he says, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only mashgiach on the things down here, he's also mashgiach on the things up there, from where these bottom entities, briyot, these yisurim, receive their koach, receive their hashpah. He adds another point that since he created many things in the world, and and they were all created for a purpose, it just doesn't make sense that he won't be Mashiach. Because if your purpose, if your goal is to create something for a reason, and that reason is going to be around for a while, doesn't it make sense that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would somehow do whatever he can to protect that from not becoming extinct? Because he wants it to be. In order to achieve that, he has to be Mashiach on it. You understand that? It becomes a little bit philosophical here, but it's very simple. If it's needed, if you created it for a purpose, and it's still needed, there has to be a means, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to want to be Mashiach over it. So it should not become extinct. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not be Mashiach on the world, Khrushchev and Kennedy would have gone into a nuclear war over Cuba. Remember the crisis there? Why did that happen? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want it to happen. The people you should have a crazy guy press a button and destroy the world with nuclear bombs. And the human race would go extinct. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not want that Hitler and Hashem should conquer the world. He stopped him. Up to here, he allowed him to go. To do. Yeah, he won't allow him to do everything he wants. So we see that there is hashgacha. There has to be hashgacha. That's his point in the very beginning. There needs to be divine providence if he wants to achieve something, if he wants life to continue to exist. Otherwise, there will be greater chaos. As it is, we have chaos. But in the chaos, there's order. And where does that order come from? From an upper hashgacha, who is watching over it, even though in our eyes it doesn't appear to be so. Why? We will see soon. Why in our eyes it doesn't appear so? Because he has a system set up in place. That system works according to certain rules. And if we're not familiar with the rules, we have a lot of questions. Once we familiarize ourselves with the rules, there won't be a problem. I just wanted to add that before we go on, is that it's incredible how HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the Bria so much chokhmah that every animal you see that exists in the world, every little plant life, everything has its food. Look at the relationship between bees and plants, between predators and animals of prey and the victims, right? There's a system. The one depends on the other. An animal dies, not every other animal of prey, predator will eat it, only scavengers. There are certain animals whose job is to clean up.
Yeah. Only dead animals.
Only dead animals, especially dead animals. Vultures, right? They will eat dead animals. Not everybody will eat a dead animal. Yeah, exactly. So you see that there is a system of dependency that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in this world, and all of this shows a tremendous amount of chokhmah. All of this shows a tremendous amount of hashgacha, right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides. Mikarnei re'emim ve'ad b'tzekimim. He provides food. No one goes hungry. Unless, of course, there's a magifa. There's a tremendous decree, there's a halila, a plague. Then people die, animals die, and there's floods. Animals get killed too. Yeah, that's something else. But in the ordinary, that's hashgacha, of course. But otherwise, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of what He created. He didn't just dump them and leave the scene. And especially since He wants it to continue to exist for that same reason He created, He has to be mashgiach on it.
Even the microorganisms we cannot see with our eyes. So He feeds them too.
He feeds everything. They all have from you, from the beginning. Yeah. Okay. Another distinction that He makes at the very start is that even though there is hashgacha in this world, on everything that was created, the hashgacha on a human being is different than the hashgacha on everything. This is an extremely important point, which he's going to be talking about, especially next week. We'll talk about in the next chapter on the hashgacha ishi on the individual. This chapter is more hashgacha klali, more of a general, and he explains in this chapter the system of rules that he put into place that affects all of humanity. Next week we'll talk about the hashgacha pratit ishi on the very minute details of every individual. So he says like this: the hashgacha on the human being has to be from the hashgacha of everything. Everything has the hashgacha. He watches over, he looks after, he takes care of everything. Why is the hashgacha of the human being different? Because everything in the creation is called nif'al. Nif'al means it is acted on, or it is acted. It doesn't act on its own, it is acted. In other words, it doesn't have free will. In other words, it has instinct. It acts according to certain rules. Nif'al, by itself. Nif'al means like by itself. Adam hu lo nif'al, he's not a robot. Hu po'el, he's active. He has bechira choshit, he has free will. The hashgacha, therefore, in animals is completely different. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can leave them alone, and they will do what they're programmed to do. He doesn't use the word program, but in different words, that's what he says. They're programmed to do certain things. The cow will say moo and eat the grass and give milk. That's all it knows. And every animal is the same thing in the world, except for the human. The human being is poel. He has free will, and because he is somewhat independent, he's not a robot, he has to have a special hashgacha. Because if he does not, chas v'shalom, he will do whatever he wants. But we all know, or at least we do, not everybody out there, we know that man is not capable of doing everything he wants. He has limitations. Not only does he have limitations, he doesn't always succeed in his plans, in carrying out his dream, whether it's a beautiful, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. It's not up to him entirely. It is up to him to think about it and to attempt. But to succeed, it's not up to him. Because the Kabbalistic Baruch Hu has another plan. Oy vavoy, if man would succeed in all his ideas, and all his plots, the Goyim, all their plots against the Jews, if they succeeded. If all the Arabs succeeded in every single bomb, you know what would happen? Kabbalistic Baruch Hu does not allow it. Here he makes him fall asleep. Here he makes the trigger, the gun jam. Right? Here he makes them fight against each other. Right? Before they revive, they had a work accident. Yeah, thanks. So you see, so the hashgacha, he just makes this introduction. The hashgacha, therefore, in human beings has to be a different kind of hashgacha. You see the difference. It has to be, because man is so capable, so powerful because of his free will. You cannot just allow him to work on it. It's not just a set of rules, it's an instinct. It's much more than that. It's much more powerful than that. He has many more abilities, and that needs to be controlled, or under control. So man, of course, has more leeway, more flexibility. He can do more than an animal, but even man is according to Hashem's will. In other words, I'm already going to tell you beforehand what he probably says later on, that any time a human being acts, Hashem is not the one who puts to act. Why did Hashem allow it to happen if it was something no good? Because Hashem doesn't have to intercede to stop it. He can't. So the fact that a person did something, carried out something, doesn't mean that was Hashem's will, necessarily. But it wasn't against Hashem's will either. Did you follow the difference? Hashem's will, of course, is only to do good, not to do bad. You can't say when a person does something bad, that's Hashem's will. It was not against Hashem's will. In other words, if it had been against His will, totally, Hashem would have interceded. He does not want it to happen. So sometimes Hashem acts in a way that He does not intercede. Sometimes He brings something about, like the rabbi tells us, messages, to carry out His will. And sometimes Hashem says, you know what? Let nature take its course. I will draw back. That's called hastarat panim. I will remove myself from this thing. I'm still there. I will not intercede, not interfere. And whatever happens, happens. And then things can happen that are not too nice. But when Hashem, of course, removes Himself from the scene. But it's not necessarily against Him. Even though it may not be approved by Hashem, if it's against the Torah. It's not a good act, a good deed. But Hashem may not, He removes His hashgacha. Yeah. Right, and that's exactly the idea. Rabbi tells us, everything is heaven except for the fear of heaven. Exactly. So they have to allow you to. They didn't push you to do it. That's why there is a midah, there is a system or a rule that says Hashem allows it. Hashem did not push it. Hashem can bring something about too. And I'm going to tell you which one Hashem brings about. But in case of a human being, Hashem never tells him, pushes him to free will, but He may allow him to do it. What? He withdraws, He lets him do it. So that's Bidei Shamayim in a sense too. Why? Because if He did not want it, if it's against His plan, it won't work. You follow? That's very important. Now, where is it different? Where Hashem actually is totally involved? When it comes to animals, because as we said before, animals are pre-programmed. They live and do things by instinct. They don't have free will. So if an animal kills, if an animal does harm to a human being, how did it happen? That's not the necessarily, unless it's maybe protecting its young, like bears, and certainly become very protected, or if you step on a rattlesnake. But even then, rabbis tell us, En achaya nemita, achet nemit. The nachash, or the chaya, or the animal, they are not the ones who kill. It's the het, the sin that causes this to come about, this action, this incident. There was a story in the Gemara of how one rabbi saw, I think it was some sort of some sort of poisonous snake or scorpion riding piggyback on a frog across the lake. piggyback. It was a creature, a poisonous creature, riding piggyback on top of a frog. No, wait a minute. The rabbi, as soon as he saw that was a very unique, that's to ride piggyback on a frog. And it didn't happen every single day. I'm sure that Elizabeth who sent that poisonous scorpion or whatever to kill someone. So he waited around to see what happened. Sure enough, after a couple hours, he thought somebody died and was bitten by this. And so he saw this hope because this was unusual to catch a ride because Hashem wanted it. He had to cross the lake. How could he cross the lake? Hashem who has waves on top of the frog across the lake. He rode on it and made it. As a mission. As a mission, exactly. So all these animals to do things they're doing it by shlichut, by mission, just like a malach carries out the will of Hashem. So these animals. A human being is different. A human being therefore requires a much stricter hashgacha in a sense. At all times, Hashem lets everything go by itself. Everything works perfectly. Nature has laws. Weather has laws. Right? Everything works okay with clouds and air and water, and you have rain, so forth. But sometimes Hashem interferes with that too. He brings storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, or lack of it exactly. So Hashem, for a moment, stops all of that. But if He does not interfere, nature takes its course. The laws of nature work beautifully. There are no problems. But with man, it's completely different because he has the ability to decide if he does good or does bad. Alright, before we begin just a little bit about this Ashgaha, I'm just going to tell you in advance that there are three systems in this world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses to, how should we explain it? To cleanse the neshama. Right? That's what we're going to be talking about in this chapter. What a person can accomplish, how he accomplishes this world, and what's awaiting for him in the Olam Haba. But it's important that we have this idea in mind that there are three systems that help cleanse the neshama. One is called Gilgul, which it doesn't talk a lot about here, but it just mentions that. Incarnation means that a person is given several chances, several times to correct or to fix. The second one is called Yisurim, pain and suffering, that exists for a purpose. And the third one is Gehenom. The first two are in Olam Hazeh, the other one is in Olam HaNeshamot, after a person departs. But all three exist for what purpose? To ultimately reach the shlemut, to reach the goal, the tachlit of what a person, or what mankind was created for. What is that tachlit? To get to Olam Haba. He has to get to his final destination. Man has to get to Olam Haba. The human race, not only Jews. The difference between Jews and Goyim we'll be talking about 2 weeks from now. What's the difference? Now we're talking about the human race. Then we'll see the human individual by himself. Each one individually. And then what's the difference between Jews and non-Jews in this whole plan that HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I'm just giving you the introduction that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in place this system that will help its ultimate function, or the ultimate goal of this system is to get man, human race, to Olam Haba. Not necessarily the way it came, but we come to the Olam HaNeshamot. And Olam Haba is the Olam that follows this world. This Olam is a temporary world, and it's not the Ikar. The Ikar is still waiting for us. And in order to get to that Ikar, there may be a need for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to prepare us by using either one of the three. And now we're going to see why there is a need for all this. Alright, so he begins to say like this. The Tachlit Bri'at Hamina Enoshi, the purpose of the creation of mankind, She'agia Latova Amiti, that it should reach the ultimate good. What's that ultimate good? Hiddapkut Bo Yitbarach Shemo, the Olam Haba. That a human being should attach himself to Borei Olam. Should get close to him. And when does that happen? In Olam Haba. And in order for him to achieve that, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into this world various systems, and what they all have in common is that they prepare him to ultimately get to this tachlit, which is Olam Haba. This preparation is based on Shnei Ktavim. He calls them two points on two ends. One is called Ishi and one is called Chlali. The Ishi, the personal one, is a system that affects the human being on an individual level, on a personal level, and the other one that affects the human race as a whole, the Min Enoshi. He said, since the human being is created with a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Ra, as we explained before, the idea of mitzvot, the free will, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had, in order to prepare mitzvot, in order to give a person an opportunity to grow and to achieve reward, he endowed him with this conflict, ability to make choices. And he gave him the Yetzer Ra and Yetzer Tov, which is what allows him to make choices. Since every human being has the Yetzarim, it is almost impossible, he says, that a human being in this world should not have a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. That he does need. Like the pasuk says, "En tzaddik ba'aretz asher aseh atov v'lo yachza." Because he gave him this yetzer hatov and the yetzer hara, which is important to make decisions, which also the ultimate goal of that is to get to Olam Haba. You can't escape the fact that he will also have some good deeds and some bad deeds. Exactly, and that's what he says. Maybe less of one and more of the other, and he could be either one, good or bad. And that is the difference between Rashaim and Tzaddikim. Tzaddikim have more good, and Rashaim have more bad. But it says that Kadosh Baruch Hu is fair, and it says in everything, and he considers everything, and even if a person's majority of him are bad, he still has to have a way of giving him credit for the good. Then you have Tzaddikim, who are very good, who the majority of their ma'asim are, but still they have a little bad. You might say, so what? Let's go by the majority. No. The reason why you can't go by the majority is for various reasons. First of all, there's a system called Midah Keneg Midah, that the Rebbe pays for everything, whether it's a good deed or a bad deed. Second of all, he explains that it's not only a matter of principle, of law, that Hashem says, you did good, you get good, you get good, you did bad, you get bad. It's not only that. When a person actually does bad, physically, he says, or spiritually, that neshama cannot get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's a fact. It's embarrassed when it reaches upstairs, and it finds itself naked. Because from all the mitzvot that a person does according to the Kabbalah, if the neshama receives malbushim, receives special clothes, that is how it enters. It gets to its final resting place. And when a person is naked, he feels naked. He feels, as I told you once, there was a rabbi that appeared to one of his students after that were in a dream. And the student saw the rabbi was shining, it was beautiful, it was wonderful. But the rabbi was sad. The rabbi, why are you so sad? I see you were such a great ma'amad. You have tremendous kavod upstairs. I know you were a big tzaddik. What are you sad about? Look at my feet. The feet were bare. It was no clothing on it, no shoes, no nothing. And this is because I did a lot of sports. Learned Torah, I taught Torah. There's one mitzvah I always was not neglected or did not feel excited to do, and that is to collect tzedakah. I gave tzedakah. Yeah, I can. Because I did not go around to collect tzedakah, and he did, not because he didn't have a chance, he didn't want to, he neglected it. But this is not for me to ask people to go around and ask tzedakah. So my feet are not, they're bare. They don't have the levush that they could have had, like the rest of the body. Right? So we see that the neshama upstairs feels bad of how much it missed out that it could have received in this world, because this is the only opportunity that a person has to do. Once it gets upstairs, it's too late. The children can do a little bit for them. There's only a little bit. Yeah? Which one? Which lady? Yeah, the old one, yeah? 3 times. Yeah, she must have done something. She must have done something good. Okay, so he goes on to explain that in order to be able to give credit for the mitzvot, the masim tovim, in order to take care of the masim ra'im, the bad deeds, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put up 2 systems. One system in Olam Hazeh, and one system of... The system of Olam Hazeh is a temporary. It's intended for the minority. In other words, if a person has, let's say, a lot of good deeds, but few bad, the bad deeds will be taken care of in this Olam, in this short world. The next world, which is the eternal world, that is where he gets Rov HaMa'asim, which is, if he's good, he gets it there. If he's bad, Chalila, then what happens? Then the little bit of good that he did, he gets here. The minority is here. The majority, he's always done is good or bad. Right. If it's the minority, it's taken care of over here. Usually. Not always. Remember, I gave you an introduction that there's several systems. There's a system of Gilgulim, there's a system of Isurim, there's a system of Inom, where Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of these bad things. Yes. As אנחנו מסבירים את זה. The musag, the concept, the famous question of why tzaddik v'ra lo, rasha v'tov lo, it is partly being explained in this chapter that it has to do with the system that Kadosh Baruch Hu set up according to certain rules and guidelines, that he has to account for everything. Kadosh Baruch Hu is fair, is just, it is right? And he has to account for everything. The question is, where does he take care of it? in this temporary world or in the eternal world, where it makes sense to take care of the minority in this, or the smaller part here, and to take care of the majority upstairs. Yeah.
In regards to good and bad, how do we get good or bad?
Very, very good question. The Rambam speaks about this issue, and he says, don't think that we're talking about numbers, that you do 100 mitzvot, 200 mitzvot, or you do 300 avirot. Numbers, of course, are significant, but what's more significant is the quality. There can be one mitzvah, all it is one, that is worth much more than 100 avirot.
But you don't know what it is.
We don't really, right. There could be an avirah that is a terrible avirah, but even just one of them is a terrible one. Right. So Kadosh Baruch Hu, therefore, how does he weigh the person? Not according to the numbers necessarily, but in conjunction with the quality, with the actual type of mitzvah that he performed, or the type of avirah that he did. Right. He looks at all of that, and he explains later on. And by the way, this whole system of judging for human being, he explains to figure out the sachar, the mitzvot, or why he deserves this, or why he got that. We look around at people. Hashem Yishmor. They have all sorts of trouble. They have a Down syndrome child. They have another child who's sick with cancer. They're struggling with parnasah. Whatever job they take doesn't last long, right? Anything you can think of bad happens to them, and they're good people. Nothing wrong with them. They haven't hurt a soul. Then you have other people who are cruel, who beat their wives, right? Cheat from other people. Not only the IRS, they cheat and get away with it. Right? Why? Well, why are they doing? They're doing very well. They own a Lexus, a Jaguar. And BMW, is that a good car? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isaac can. Yeah. And then.
That's why that's because of the good.
No, so we're going to talk about that now. So he's going to talk a little bit more about that right now. But that's the famous question of why do we see what it appears to us? So we must remember that, as we've said several times, that our perception is not always true. That's number one. Our minds are limited, and we cannot understand everything. Number 3, yesh din ve'yesh dayan, yesh cheshbon. That's called hashgacha. If one is able to absorb this very well, and all its ramifications, which we haven't discussed yet, this will help them with something called midat habitachon. Hashem, I will be giving a series here, a lecture very soon called Yesodot HaEmunah, based on the 13 Ikarim, on the 13 pillars of faith. We'll be discussing one of the things. We'll be discussing the difference between emunah and bitachon. A lot of people have emunah. That's what the first chapters were. Hashem created the world. I believe it. It makes sense to me. I can see it. But bitachon, to actually rely on Hashem, to know that everything that has happened to me, not that I did, but that has happened to me from others and by others, is gashgacha parachit. The Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted it so, or allowed it to happen. That requires bitachon. Bitachon means that you rely on Hashem. You trust Him that He knows what He's doing.
That's why you accept it.
That is why we accept it. Even when a person dies, what do we do? Rabbis made us say a beracha, Dayan HaEmet. Dayan HaEmet at a moment of sadness, of mourning, of a person who we may have loved very much, who may have passed away at a very early, young age. And we say, what did he do? He was a tzaddik. This little boy of 2-year-old boy, his baby. Right? We can't understand what happened. Right? Or by a bomb, whether it was a bomb or a bullet or by disease. It makes no difference. Just one is more tragic than the other, perhaps, because we say, oh, what a waste. Haval. You shouldn't have been there. That shows the lack of bitachon. You can't say you shouldn't have. If the Malach HaMavet has a job, even if you go to the South Pole, he'll find you there. Yeah.
59 die and one is alive.
Right, all those 59 needed to go. And Hashem put them on the same boat.
That's particular one is finished.
That's right. Yeah. Now there is something, this is not as simple as it sounds. There is something called makom sakana. You can't put yourself in danger. Right? That's a whole different category. If you go as a soldier to a dangerous place, if you go to war, then it doesn't mean that Hashem wanted you to die right now. If a soldier gets killed. He just happened to be in a dangerous place. And if he does not have enough merits, they won't make a special miracle to save his life. Whenever you are in danger, in order to be saved, you need miracles. And a miracle is not performed for every individual, just like that. So you can't put yourself... Yeah, you can't say, I'm going to walk on a tightrope. If it's meant to be that I won't fall, then I'll make it. No. You'll fall if you don't know what you're doing. And you're crazy to do it to begin with.
go.
Right, he didn't choose to go.
But
Right,
he has to go.
right.
So why should he stop in Makom Sakana?
That's called Makom Sakana. People die before their time, not because Hashem wanted it. Usually everything is the Shamayim controlled by the Shamayim either because Hashem wants it or does not interfere. There are sometimes situations like the pasuk says, "Yesh mispa belo mishpat." There are people who lose their lives, removed from this world, belo mishpat, without judgment. What does that mean? That they did not convene upstairs in the Beit Shemal and decide his time is up. He's not doing a good job. Forget it. He's better off upstairs. He's going to get worse, or he's done everything he needs to do. And they send him Malach HaMavet. Sometimes the Malach HaMavet doesn't even get the job. The person was involved in a sudden accident, or in some situations where it just happened like that. Makom Sakana. That's a category in itself. The system is a big system. It has rules. For the most part, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashgiach everything. And even in this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashgiach everything. So that's called a lack of hashgacha. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have chosen to do something about it or not. Now sometimes you wonder to yourself, why did I take this road today? You find out later on it was a big accident. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put it into your mind not to take that street. You got stuck in traffic, and you missed your plane. And meanwhile you're cursing and you're complaining and you're upset. Then you find out that the plane crashed. You're gonna throw a big party now, right? Huh? It happens. All sorts of things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many ways. Many ways to prevent. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to prevent, it's lo hazman shelo. Now, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu could really have done is something else. If this is not meant to happen to that man, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put it into his mind to buy a ticket to begin with for that date? Huh? What do you say? So HaKadosh Baruch it could be a variety of reasons. To show him a miracle, to teach him bitachon hashgacha parati, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching over you, right? Or that he should experience the trauma. That also is a kapara. And come out of it. Sure. Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble with the...
What's the one?
How does it qualify to be a miracle? A miracle.
The fact that we are alive is a miracle every moment. Right? Well, I know, but a real miracle is described as follows: any divine intervention defies the laws of nature.
Okay, so taking the wrong
Now,
train is like...
Wait, one second, I didn't finish yet. Now, that's just the definition. And that definition fits much better a big miracle that it is obvious to everybody that it wasn't a coincidence, that it's totally abnormal and unusual. Where most people would agree, the only explanation is a miracle. You know where this is typical? When 10 doctors come and says he has 24 hours to live. No chance to get up, and after 24 hours, after 48 hours, not only is he alive, it completely disappeared. The tumor completely disappeared. He's walking, and he's perfectly healthy, healthier than the doctor himself. No? So what do the doctors say when they see something like that? It's a miracle. Even though they don't believe in miracles, they still say it's a miracle. They got used to that word. It's part of, right? No. So I'm explaining. So sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's obvious. It makes sense. There's no other explanation for it. And sometimes it's less obvious. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes miracles. Like the pasuk says, "Le'oseh niflaot gedolot levado." For himself, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what miracles we just experienced. We're not aware of them. We don't even notice them. Some miracles are not too obvious for a variety of reasons. First of all, the man would not believe it's a miracle. So the man does not always, the one who had a miracle does not always see it as a miracle. Number two, maybe he doesn't deserve that he should know that the miracle was performed for him, right? Not only would he not know, but maybe he doesn't even deserve that he should know. Certain miracles are therefore not obvious. Third of all, if a miracle would be obvious, sometimes it would interfere with the free will. Oh no. In other words, if things were obvious, if this just happened to me, that there is God, Yesh Elohim, like some people exclaim all of a sudden, oh, there must be a God. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not make things too obvious many times for this reason alone. Not to interfere with the free will. To let people believe. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Yeah? 39 Scud missiles. None of them directly, except for one, killed people. The whole building collapsed on a cripple. A soldier was crippled, and there was nothing happening, not even a scratch. Even Rabin came out on the radio and says, "I'm not religious, but these were miracles." Because you have to be a rasha not to deny when something becomes obvious. But you know what? Between me and you,
This cut business was a small miracle because there was always a chance to believe that perhaps the Iraqis don't know how to aim well. But it makes no difference. It makes no difference, right? They landed right, exactly. Right. But people can think of all sorts of things, right? There was a big miracle in the very beginning of the war. It just happened to be Shaitat Takala, that there was a problem of malfunction in the gas distribution plant there, north of Tel Aviv there. So they shut it down. Had they not shut it down, it would have caused a tremendous disaster. And that's what Rabbi was talking about. He meant really that too. So sometimes the miracles are more obvious, and sometimes they're less. And we have a tradition before Mashiach comes to become more and more obvious. That there is a mashgiach, but it cannot be made too obvious. All right, so let's go back to what we were saying. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to have a system of getting this person to Olam Haba, and because the human being has free will, he has the Yetzer Hatov and Yetzer Hara, it is possible that he will fail, and he will not get himself there. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses a system of minority and majority, and he takes care of the minority Maasim in this world, and the majority Maasim in the world to come. How does he take care of the Maasim? If the Rasha is bad, he's a bad person, most of his Maasim are bad, and he has a little bit of good, he takes a little bit of good and rewards it to him in Olam Haba. If the Tzaddik is good, and most of his Maasim are good, and he has a little bit of Ra, he takes care of the little bit of Ra and resolves it in this world. How does he resolve it in this world? How does he handle it? With Yisurim usually. Either Yisurim in the middle age, early age, or hopefully should not interfere with our life, only at the end of the life. And that is why a lot of people get sick towards the end. Right? Not only because of becoming frail and weak, is it a great deal of that suffering and diseases towards the end of one's life is a kapara. Otherwise, unless the man was a heavy smoker, unless he was an alcoholic, right? If something goes bad, you don't blame his genes, you don't blame his parents for his heart condition necessarily. It could be that that's part of the system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared for that individual, that at a certain age, this is what he will get. Unless he himself did something to himself, that he is to blame. Yes? Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
My soul can be other souls, or you said a piece of the right?
Why? Yeah.
Because the soul pieces of other souls made up.
Everybody has their individual soul, but what people sometimes have that accompanies their soul are nitzotzot, sparks of other souls. But that's a whole different subject. There is a concept called nitzotzot, or sparks that can accompany you, that they are impregnated to your system, and they guide you, they can help you. But that's a whole different idea. For the most part, what you need to, as far as what we need to know is that we all have our own individual soul, except that the soul can split itself into parts for reincarnation purpose. The whole soul doesn't have to come back, right? The whole soul. Then the question arises: if it splits itself into parts, what happens in Tchiyat HaMetim, right? So if a person was here 25 times, they all come up. And if all of them deserve to stay for Olam Haba, they will all stay. How could it be that they're all around? They're the same thing. They're not exactly the same. It's just like brothers. You're all part of the same neshama. And the best way to understand it is with the candle. Right? Ner Hashem, Nishmat Adam, a candle, the soul is like a candle. Why? Well, for a variety of reasons. But one reason is you take a flame, you take a candle, and with the original flame you can light many, many candles, 1,000 candles. Have you taken away anything from the original one? No. So you have a part of the original candle in every single new candle. And neshama can split itself in such a way that a part of it is found in many, many bodies. But when it comes to Tchiyat HaMetim, nevertheless, everybody will have to have a nefesh. A nefesh, yes. Everybody has its own nefesh. A nefesh is the part of the body that makes it, keeps it alive. It's not the neshama. So they can be sharing the same neshama, but they have different nefashot.
The neshama wants to be on earth. It becomes dead.
Yeah.
And then it comes.
Right. And then Tchiyat HaMetim, they all get up. As long as they have merit as a chut to remain, they will remain. The other question that comes up is what happens to a person that has 4 women? Right? Who gets up with him Tchiyat HaMetim?
All of them.
Yeah, he likes. Obviously, he likes all of it. A person gets ultimately his real sivu, whoever is his less than one.
Maybe none of those.
Maybe none of those. Maybe someone else, right? Yeah, exactly. As long as it is real as before.
Because my kids spend last week.
Don't worry, she won't run after you.
No, why not?
No, not you.
He said, if you are lucky, you get your own book. But if you miss it, you miss it.
You remember the story with Winston Churchill? You know, with the lady. He says, if I would be your wife, I'd put poison in your tea. Remember that one? He told Churchill, if I would be your wife, I'd put poison in your tea. He says, if I would be your husband, I would never drink you. Yeah, something like that. What?
He was the master of repartee.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you had such a kind of woman, don't worry, she won't go after you to that on the team. Yeah, she won't catch up to you.
Come up also the women?
Huh? Everybody comes up. Yeah. Anyway, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to put the system together that everything is fair and every maaseh is taken care of, depending on if it's the minority or majority. For tzaddikim, therefore, part of their maasim ra'im has to be taken care of down here. And for the Rishaim, part of the maasim tovim, they put on tefillin one day in their lifetime. They're going to get sechar for that maaseh. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, depending on, it all depends on how much of that person is a tzaddik or rasha. If that person was a rasha, but he's not a rasha gamur, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what, he still has enough maasim to exist in Olam Haba, but he can't enter. He doesn't have the ticket. And Olam Haba is not enough for what he did. If you kill 3 people, you murdered a person, Reuven murdered 3 people. It makes no difference. He murdered. And you give him the death penalty. But he killed 3. Can you give him the death penalty 3 times? Only 1 time can you give him the death penalty. How is he going to pay for the other 2 people that he murdered? So sometimes the Sha'im did such terrible things that Olam Hazeh is not sufficient to pay them back. So God says, you know what? Leave him with his good masal. I have to take care of him in Olam Haba. I have to take care of him in Gehenna. Or whatever. זה לא מספיק, לא מספיק מה לתת לו. Yeah, נכון. It's not enough. So no, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to say, you know what, leave him alone, I have to take care of him in Gehenna. Sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of a little bit over here, and a little bit in Gehenna. For the people who were somewhat good and behaved themselves, but they don't deserve Gehenna, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings the Gilgul. So Gilgul is a big subject in itself, and that is what most people get, I hope. Not because Gilgul is really another opportunity to grow, to correct, to fix, and even though you have to go through life again, and raise children, and get married, and all of that, nevertheless, you might accomplish something. You're contributing.
And you might get an easier life this time.
Yeah. As long as that Gilgul is normal. If that Gilgul, Chas v'Shalom, means that the person has to go through his entire life in poverty or blind, oy vavoy, then that is a much more severe type of Gilgul. We have a tradition that anybody is born with a malignancy from birth, it has to be from a Gilgul She'avar. He hasn't had a chance to do Averot Mitzvot yet. Why did his parents get this? That is their Nisayon, that is their Cheshbon. They have to go through that too. That's fine?
It's good that coming to 3 years on.
Yeah, there's all sorts of Gilgulim. Maybe we'll talk about it later on. Right, there's all sorts of Gilgulim. And there's some temporary Gilgulim reincarnations and some long-term reincarnations. The best kind of reincarnation, the best type of Gilgul is Gilgul Ba'adam, in a regular human being, with a normal, average kind of life. Sometimes a person is given wealth. Let's see what you do with it. Okay. Last time in your last Gilgul, you're being punished because you were stingy. Or whatever. Okay, I'm going to give you all, or I'm sorry, because you claimed you didn't have any money. Well, we're going to give you the money now. Let's see what you do with it. I just gave you a quick example. Wealth, many times, is in Nisayon. It's a very difficult Nisayon. The rabbis tell us that wealth is a more difficult Nisayon than poverty. Because when a person is poor, at least his heart is broken. He prays, he cries out, he's humble. Wealth brings arrogance, brings chutzpah, it brings indifference. It brings indifference, and it detaches you from people, society, and it could lead you to trample on people, to abuse people, and to do more averot than if you would be poor. So a person who's rich has a bigger challenge than a person who's poor. They both are no good. They both are, we hope that if we have the money, that we should also have the wisdom to know how to use it, and to not be afraid. When we say, Varechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, what are we saying? HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless you with wealth. But yishmerecha, that nobody should assault you and cause you problems as a result of your money. There could be envy, there could be, right? There could be ayin hara, there could be kidnapping for ransom, right? So, wealth is not necessarily the best thing, it's a big nisayon. Okay, let's finish up over here. As we said before, Reshaim and Tzadikim need to go through the system for their own good, not only because the system exists in place and by principle Hashem wants to pay. It's for their own good that a Rasha simply is not fit, spiritually or physically, to enter because of his averot. He's completely stained. Those stains have to be removed. So it's tzaddik who has a little bit of saying. He wants it to be removed. When he comes upstairs and he sees what this is doing to him, he begs Hashem. As the Chafetz Chaim used to say, if we only would know what pain and suffering do for us in this world, the kapara that they achieve, we would ask for doubles. We would ask for doubles. If we only knew how good it is, or what it does for the neshama, we would ask for doubles. Okay, I'm not suggesting that to anybody here to ask for doubles, but they just have that, keep that idea in mind that anybody who is you want doubles? yeah, sure. Pain and suffering is not something very easy to bear. And we have a tradition, according to the Kabbalah, that whoever receives the pain and suffering mitoch ahava, then that is the most effective type of Yisurin. If he kicks, if he rebels, complains, and totally does not accept the Yisurin, it will not have the effect on him. In the same way that the person receives it mitoch ahava, it has a tremendous effect of being the chaper avonot, kaparat avonot. Yeah, same thing, similar, pretty much. Yeah, as long as he does not complain. Gamzu letova, kaparat avonot. Yeah, and it's a big nisayon. We should not know from it. It's not easy. Yeah, there was one rabbi who says, "Don't give me the pain, don't give me the reward for it," because he won't be able to take it. Depending on what it is. Right? Remember the story with Rabbi Elyahu Kin? He had toothaches for 13 years.
What?
Toothaches. That's a tremendous pain in the teeth, stomach and teeth. Oy vavoy. Right? Tremendous pain. The rabbi tells us in the Gemara, Chole me'aim, gehenom, or tzaddikim. Usually one of the ways that they part from this world is by going through this disease called chole me'aim, in other words, stomach problems. Whether it's cancer of the stomach, whether it's the intestines or colon and all these things. It's very painful. And if it lasts for several years, that type of yisurim, because of its degree of intensity of pain, is a ticket to Gan Eden. And there's another possibility. You have a choice. You can ask for chole me'aim or ishara'ah. Anybody have a choice here? A bad wife or stomach ache? Which one would you prefer? I think. They're all tickets to Gan Eden. Doesn't see pnei gehenom. Here. You already had gehenom here. No, the Gemara brings these down that there are several. What you can tell that this person has a ticket to Gan Eden. You already had gehenom in this world. Okay, last point. Let's finish up. Last point. Let's finish up over here. The last point is that he says. One more important point in this chapter is that everybody in his ma'asim, through his deeds, Kadosh Baruch Hu made it so that he is able to determine how much zakar he will have. In other words, the human being himself has the ability to choose good and bad. But not only that, he also has the ability to determine what his exact reward will be, how much of it will take. In other words, Olam Haba, you will not have people on the same level. The level achieved in Olam Haba will be according to a person's effort and how much he did in this world. It has to be that too. It doesn't mean that if you're good, okay, everybody the same. It can't be like that because some people have to work harder. Some people did more. So that's also part of the system. Because people made it so that according to how much you did, you are also determining kama chelek l'olam haba. Of course, kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek l'olam haba. But is it a chelek katan or chelek gadol? Is it a big or a small? Well, if a person did very little, the very bare minimum, לצאת ידי חובה, אתה רצית רק לצאת ידי חובה, גם אנחנו, נצא ידי חובה, נשים אותך, we're going to put you, people come upstairs and they complain, well, למה לא שמת אותי פה? רצית לצאת ידי חובה, גם אנחנו רצינו לצאת ידי חובה איתך. We just wanted you, to be ידי חובה, we promised you, we're going to give you a little bit after we put you here. Same thing, everything is midah keneged midah. Midah keneged midah. Kadosh Baruch Hu judges a person exactly according to how much a person, how hard he worked, how much effort he put in, how much he invested. You reap your reward according to how much you invest. Like they say in English, you get what you pay for. The same thing is upstairs. There is a system that is just and that weighs everything and considers everything, good and bad. So, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu is able to take care of in this world is preferable. Because if everything was taken care of in this world, we come upstairs with free. If there's a little bit left over, we feel bad. It's not complete yet. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to take care of it in some way or another, either through the Gilgul or through the Gedon. There's no more Yisurim left. It's finished already. Same thing with the Rasha. if you did a Maaseh Tov, right, a good deed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would rather pay him here because he wants to remove him completely from Olam Haba. He says basically that there's very few people, very few individuals who will not have Olam Haba altogether. And so it's a small list, he says, because many people, even the Rasha'im that we know are Rasha'im, must have done at least a little bit of good. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, between Yisurim and Gehenom and everything, is able to wipe away everything, and eventually the vast majority will have Olam Haba.